All I want is a proper cup of coffee made in a proper copper coffee pot. I may be off my dot, but I want a cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot.
Another one
Uh-huh.
is this. Okay. Now, you notice that they talk about a groundhog here.
No, no,
And a groundhog, you know what a groundhog is?
no, I don't know about it.
It's the same thing as a woodchuck. And
Okay.
instead of saying a ground rat, which doesn't sound nice, some people just say
Groundhog.
groundhog or woodchuck. And it's the same animal. It's like a big rat about this size and makes a hole in the ground and lives there. And okay, so it says, how much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? A groundhog, a groundhog would hog all the ground he could hog if a groundhog could hog ground. There you go, something like that. I actually stumbled through that one a little bit. And okay, now when they, I'm sorry if there's a little bit of noise outside, but
Okay,
anyway,
so no problem.
there, the word to hog, you know what that means?
No, I'm not aware about this also.
Okay, it's just a slang way of speaking. Okay, to hog, like if you're having a meeting
Hmm?
and someone is doing most of the talking and he's not supposed to, he's a meeting hog. He's hogging the time, right? And if you're giving everyone a piece of chocolate and someone grabs like half of it and leaves less for everyone else, he is hogging the chocolate, right?
Okay, okay, I got the
So
meaning.
someone that grabs more than he's supposed to, whether it be something to eat or maybe someone's time or something that he's not supposed to take too much of, he takes a lot of it and he becomes a hog. Doesn't sound very nice because a hog is another way of saying a pig. So if someone who's hogging something is taking too much of something. So
Okay.
it's talking about a groundhog hogging, a groundhog taking up too much of something. So, okay. So with that in mind, why don't you try this one?
Yes, yes. Sure. All right. How much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? A groundhog would hog all the ground he could hog if a groundhog could hog ground.
Yes.
I
Good.
think it's
How much?
yes, yes.
I'll go ahead and say it. Okay. It says, how much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? A groundhog would hog all the ground he could hog if a groundhog could hog ground.
Yeah, yes. It's better to understand the meaning first and
Yes.
separate the each set of sentences from each other. Then it will be more easy to get it or to
Yes.
pronounce it. Yes.
Yes, you're right. I think that it didn't uh, wrap around correctly with the version I sent you. And okay, there's another one I have here. Let me see. And okay, something about coffee. And how are you with drinking coffee in India? Is that very common?
No, I'm not a I'm not a coffee taker, I guess. So I'm a tea
You're not a
lover.
coffee drinker?
No, I'm a tea lover. But sometimes
And
I take coffee. But there are many people who love to have coffee outside there.
in the United States, it'll be 10 times more coffee than tea. Coffee is much more common over there.
Famous. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so anyway, this is about coffee and a little bit about tea, so I can say it first if you want. Okay, it says, all I want is a proper cup of coffee made in a proper copper coffee pot. I may be off my dot, but I want a cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. Tin coffee pots and iron coffee pots, they're no use to me. If I can't have a proper cup of coffee in a proper copper coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea. Okay.
So you ended up saying, I will have a cup of tea instead of
I'll
coffee.
have tea. And if I
Uh,
go to a place like India, if I go to a place like India, I would love to have some tea because I know they make it right over there.
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
anyway,
Okay,
okay,
should I try?
yes, give it a shot.
Okay, okay. All I want is a proper cup of coffee made in a proper copper coffee pot. I may be off my dot, but I want a cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. Tin coffee pots and iron coffee pots, they are no use to me. If I can't have a proper cup of coffee in a proper copper coffee pot, I will have a cup of tea. Sound
Ah, yes,
good? Yeah. Yes, I did it.
good. You did it. You did it. Okay, I think that was good. Now, so it just it's a matter of sometimes saying these a few times, and you start to see it getting easier.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you want to try another one?
Yes, we can try for one more tongue twister. Then I want you to tell me the importance. I mean, how it is beneficial for us.
Okay.
I know that it helps us to have clear pronunciation, but along with that, what kind of benefit we have from
Okay.
tongue twister?
Sure. Okay. And this one is a short one.
Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches?
Yes. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? Okay.
Easy one.
Which which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? Okay.
Which
So
and wrist. Okay.
yes. Rich which Swiss wrist those are some of the words that could be a little confusing there. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
we want to know the benefit of tongue twisters, right? Okay. Well, the way I see it, Megha, it's a way, as we know, to practice pronunciation. I think it can break up the monotony because sometimes when we study a language, it can get it can get to be like reading a dictionary. It gets a little bit tedious. And I think if you look at a tongue twister, it breaks up the monotony. It's a different way of studying, and particularly of studying pronunciation, right? And there are some words that people struggle with more than others. I'll tell you that you've probably seen this with foreigners who try to speak your language, but I have seen in the United States that you have some people that will always have a issue with their accent, and maybe they don't care that much. I guess it's fine, but some people, because of their background, okay, they may speak a language that's very different in pronunciation than English, so they struggle a little bit. And 10, 15, 20 years later, after living in the United States, they still struggle with the accent. So I think if you could identify, okay, some words you don't pronounce very well and find a way to practice, right? Practice pronunciation. Like you were telling me, for instance, with the V and the W. Okay, if you know that that is something that causes a little bit of confusion, then it just could be something that you practice, okay, practice in specifically. And what I like to tell some English students sometimes is that to make a comparison, learning the language is a little bit like learning the piano, right? Takes time, takes patience, and it doesn't happen in 3 days. And sometimes with piano, a student would have to practice something specific, okay? an exercise the teacher gave him, just to say, okay, practice this scale or practice, you know, this exercise specifically to get better. And it's just something that the student does to be able to get better in a particular aspect of playing the piano in that case. So, and if you're a language student, I think sometimes it helps to practice in a specific area, okay, where you may be struggling a little bit. And pronunciation is something that some students struggle with for years. I mean, they do get better, okay. I've seen people get better, but I think to be able to improve, it really does help to identify, okay, what words am I not pronouncing correctly, and what can I do to practice, right? And then that's where tongue twisters may come in. All right, you practice some words or some sounds that you know you're not extremely proficient at, and you get better that way. Practice and patience are very important with tongue twisters. And don't worry so much about, I think it's important also not to worry so much about what someone else is doing. Someone else will be better than you, someone else will not be as good as you in anything, language learning or anything else, right? So you just go at your own pace, practice,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
do
If
what you can.
we can compare ourselves to others, and the best part of tongue twisters, if you ask me, that whenever you try to speak these tongue twisters, you have laugh automatically. You have
Yes,
fun.
it's fun.
It's fun. It's an
Yeah,
entertaining for someone. So at the same time you are learning and you have some entertainment as well. So this is a very good way to improve, enhance our pronunciation. Along with
yes,
as I know that helps us to increase our ability to reading, because
yes,
if you are able to pronounce some words, some sentences properly, so you can increase your reading skills as well, and it will maybe you make a career in that, right? So
yes.
my
I
understanding
agree.
is
Yes,
yes,
because it's with English, with the English language, unfortunately, the writing can be very irregular, the grammar can be very irregular. So yes, it does help with
reading.
like you say, with the reading skills as well. Yes. It's practice, good practice for speaking, good practice for reading, something fun to do,
Yes, yes.
and just a fun way to practice pronunciation.
Even I have worked on some tongue twisters, and let me try you now. Right now, I just broke this practice, but
Okay.
initially I used to do that practice, and I used to struggle with S sound and SH sound. And in Hindi as well, I struggle with these two sounds, sa and sha. Suppose there is a word, santosh, santosh.
Okay.
So
Santosh.
whenever I speak fastly in Hindi, I make the same mistake, and
Okay.
in Hindi and in English as well. So I worked a little before, and then somehow I am able to pronounce it correctly. But even sometimes when I am speaking in fast manner, I make the same mistake. Sometimes I pronounce sh as a sir and sa as a sh. So it happens. But yeah, by practicing continuously, I think I will get rid of this problem.
Well, that's it. I think it's just a matter of a little bit of practice, practice and listening. Okay. And so that's where a few things that you find on YouTube can be helpful. Of course, you find a few a few places where, okay, it could even be a movie or TV program. You
Yes.
find that, okay, they're talking and you're listening, and then you can repeat what they say and practice that way. And so that's one option. But anyway, yeah, I think you have the right idea. Okay, it's practice, and it's fun, and it's something that can benefit you in a few different ways. Yeah.
Exactly. It would be not monotonous if we practice in such a way. We will feel happy while doing practice. So what is the best than that? So yes, I hope my
Right.
viewers will have some lesson from this lesson and they will enjoy. I guess they will enjoy for sure and they will start practicing.
And they can find many, many more tongue twisters online. There's a whole large
List is
collection of
there.
tongue twisters you can find and practice with. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Philip, I think I'm running out of time, so I have to wrap up the session here. But
Okay.
again, it is very nice to talk with you. The session is
Okay.
very
It's been
informative.
it's been a pleasure, and okay. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Yes, 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 I will have. And
Okay.
same, okay,
Thank,
same for
thank
you.
you.
Likewise.
Okay.
Bye
Bye bye
bye.
now.
Bye bye.